So we got more Spider-Man's brand new day stuff to talk about. A lot of cool stuff, actually. So the Jackie Chan stuff is pretty wild, man. The Jackie Chan stuff is wild. And one of the reasons it's wild is somebody told me about this. Okay? So, I get hit up a lot. Some people I know that hit me up, and I'm like, oh, this person definitely knows what they're talking about. But a lot of randos, too, right? And so I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I'm kind of a not very trusting person. I don't trust people, like, at all. So this person hit me up a couple of weeks ago and was like, dude, you're not going to believe this, but I am working on the Spider-Man movie, and Jackie Chan's here on set. And on top of that, his stunt team, Jackie Chan's stunt team, is helping Destin with this movie. And it was one of those things where it just felt too good to be true. Right? It just felt too good to be true. So I saw this and I just totally ignored it. So if you're that person that DM'd me, like, I'm sorry, it's nothing personal. I don't trust anybody, right? But wild, because it ended up being true. It popped off, man. Fucking Jackie Chan and his stunt team are in charge of action guidance on Spider-Man Brand New Day. He also visited the set. This has come out and confirmed. So this person was actually telling me the truth. Jackie Chan legitimately went to the fucking Spider-Man set. Now, this is really, really cool. Okay, so first thing is, this is awesome. We were already thinking the action of this movie was going to be incredible. And, Destin put an incredible... I mean, I think Destin's Shang-Chi movie is incredible, and I think it's one of the best in Phase 4. The action's really, really good. I actually don't think it was all great. Like, there's some action that I wish was better. And I remember kind of dogging the movie a little bit when it first came out, because although it does have great action, like, I wanted like fucking Ip Man type shit, like legendary action. And to me, there's two things that go into there's multiple things, but two main things that go into an action sequence, right? It is the cinematography and it is the choreography. To me, I've always been a fan of, if you're doing great action, let the choreography guide it. Don't try to make it with the cinematography feel more actiony and better. I like, in the same way that like Tarantino or like Woody Allen will just let a camera hang in a scene and you let the actors play, I like action that just is a static shot and it's the actual moving bodies and the choreography that make it thrilling. And I felt Shang-Chi leaned a little too much on the cinematography as opposed to the choreography. But regardless of that, very, very good action film, right? And so a lot of people were like, dude, this dude doing Spider-Man is going to be peak. Not only that, but this shit with the action sequence they're filming right now with, we heard about this even before we saw the set photos. They were saying they're going to take over a month to shoot this thing. It's all practical, very busy streets. It's one of the most ambitious action sequences Marvel's ever done, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, we were like, oh, dude, like this is pretty hype. You add Jackie fucking Chan to this mix here, my God, man, my God. I mean, Jackie himself is Hollywood royalty. Recently won, I think within the last couple of years, didn't he get an Oscar for his contributions to the industry? Do y'all remember watching the old Jackie Chan movies in theaters, and the whole thing was he does his own stunts, and so you're watching and you're just like, I cannot believe this dude is doing all these stunts. And then there's the bloopers at the end, and like, dude, some of that shit looked painful, you know what I mean? Like, he literally destroyed his body for this industry, you know what I mean? So, all my homies love Jackie Chan and have just nothing but respect for Jackie and what he's done. And dude, you just add that on to what's going on here with Spider-Man. It's just like, goddamn, but how much other cool shit can they even pull out of this rabbit hat? We're all really, really excited. I think the marketing's been good for Spider-Man, but I think beyond the marketing, it just feels like they're cooking, and a lot of us, well, I'll just speak for myself, I guess. I have been pretty vocal over the last year and a half about how Marvel needs to like go for it, man. And there was just stuff happening in the old MCU, like in the Infinity Saga, that felt really novel and crazy. And you were just like, I can't believe this is happening. As a fan, I want to get back to that feeling of like, I can't believe this is happening. That's wish fulfillment. you know? And that's really Marvel. Like, that's like the house of ideas. Like, that's kind of what it's predicated on. It's like, I cannot believe this is happening. Whether it's like, oh my God, the Fantastic Four in the fucking 60s have all these other heroes popping up this here and there. And it's like, holy shit, it's a big lived in thing. Or even, you know, to this day, the crazy cameo stuff and like all the characters in Endgame and stuff, right? So Marvel has kind of fallen away from that a bit. And they're not really like shocking people. They're not really wowing people. And I don't think they're doing stuff that seems ridiculous and impossible and like wish fulfillment. This feels like wish fulfillment, you know? So not to like make too big of a deal of it, but it just goes to show, it's just one more example of what is the thought process of this film. And I think there's just a lot of good fucking vibes when it comes to Spider-Man. And I'm very excited that Jackie Chan is involved. Now, there's actually even more stuff to talk about here because before that broke, which was just earlier today, there were other things that came out over the weekend. One of the things I wanted to discuss was The Punisher. Okay, so a report came out that said that The Punisher is actually the main hero in this movie other than Spider-Man. So there's a lot of heroes in this movie, right? We just heard Yelena Belova's in this. There's rumors that Sam Wilson might be in this thing as well. But in I guess in a way to kind of like make sense of it, you know, some of the insiders have come forward to say, well, yes, there's a lot of people in this, but the main one is Punisher. He's going to get the most screen time out of any of them, which is cool. I wonder how you feel about that, chat. I'm ecstatic about that. You know what I mean? I'm ecstatic about that. I think that's great. But, you know, beyond that, the redacted guy came out and said, you know, he kind of said, like, I don't want to spoil everything here, but here's something I'll say about this. You're not going to get any, like, hey, Mr. Punisher, sir. You know, that kind of like early Tom Holland Spider-Man, like, Mr. Tony Stark, sir. You know, like that kind of energy. You're not going to be getting that kind of energy between these two characters. And in fact, they hate each other. And they have multiple standoffs in this film before reluctantly teaming up. And that just feels so good. That just feels so right, you know, because I think there were concerns and earned concerns, you know, like, you know, Disney has, frankly, botched a few of these kind of things. So there were concerns that you'd get a watered down Punisher or maybe even like Spider-Man being weirdly friendly to Frank or something like that. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think that's what it is. And if we're to believe the redacted guy, and I think he's actually pretty accurate, they're going to be at odds, fighting each other. And I can't wait. Now, one of the things we saw, and this is just kind of fun, but one of the things we saw during the set photo stuff was there's this shot of, there was like this part where they were shooting where Tom Holland is like on the windshield of the tank that Frank is driving. And we all were thinking the same thing, right? We were all thinking, oh, he's going to be rage baiting the fuck out of Frank. And I can't wait. I want to see Frank getting irritated and give that classic primal fucking Frank rage and then try to like shoot Peter and like you can't get him and all that. Like, bro, that's going to be really fun. That's going to be really, really exciting. But it made me think, and let me see if I can get this pulled up here. Production Weekly Spider-Man Brand New Day. Because in the wake of all of this sort of stuff, when, you know, we're trying to figure out what is the deal with this movie, the Punisher thing, and the fact that Punisher, let me see if I can find this here. Where is the actual Production Weekly cast or announcement here? Because I think that would be very, very telling. June, maybe? So it starts filming in August. Oh, man. If somebody can find what I'm looking for, that would be great. I'll try one more thing here. But, Production Weekly post about Spider-Man. All right, let's see if we can find it here. Because the point that I'm trying to make is, as we continue to get new information, it's kind of interesting how you can go back to this thing that happened, and how similar and how spot on that first Production Weekly announcement was. Because, like, one of the things it says in there is discussing a team up that you wouldn't expect, right? And I forget exactly how it's phrased, but it says something to the effect of, like, a team up you wouldn't expect. And then within that as well, it does name drop Doctor Doom. My God, dude, this is like such a fucking mess of an article. Does anybody have that shit? So I can show you guys exactly what I'm talking about here. Let me see here. Production Weekly, Spider-Man 4. Maybe this one. Maybe this is the one. Oh, what the hell? Oh, what the hell? You gotta pay for this shit? What? I don't believe it. What? Oh my God, I can't read that shit. Fuck. All right, well, hopefully somebody can find that for us and pull that up. But the point is, when I heard this shit about Punisher, specifically that they were going to be at odds with each other, but then reluctantly team up at the end of the film, it sounded so similar to what that very first Production Weekly post said. And within that post too, it just name drops that RDJ thing. So I still think that whatever's going on with Spider-Man Brand New Day will be connected to Doomsday in a way that's currently kind of like evading our perspective. We're just not sure exactly how that could happen, how it could all work together. But I think not only because you just think about that movie being the lead into Doomsday, but there's the Trillman story. Talked about that earlier in the week or maybe last week, where I'm pretty convinced that dude's playing Kang. And I'll talk about Jean Grey in just a minute here because I want to kind of get into that a bit too. But I really do think that this movie's going to have some crazy twists at the end that's going to set up not only your Doomsday stuff, but like some insano X-Men stuff, maybe just future of not only that character but the MCU in general. I would expect Spider-Man to be a pretty big setup and a pretty big deal for all of that. And you might be like, well, wait a minute, why? Why would it be that movie? Why wouldn't they have done more in the movies this year? And I think this year was more about setting up these players that will be a part of Doomsday, right? So you got Sam Wilson's team of Avengers, you've got the Thunderbolts or the New Avengers, and then you have the Fantastic Four. Those teams, which are really all like officially established in the films from this year, are the main players in Doomsday, at least in the beginning of Doomsday, right? But Spider-Man and the unique relationship that Spider-Man has to Doom, but also to the multiverse, I think that's actually a pretty great place to establish some of that stuff and to set it up further. You know, there's been a lot of talk from the insiders about that spell and the spell for Peter being significant in some way to what's going on. And one of the things that I said last week to you guys was, I can't stop thinking about how that spell got the whole multiverse to forget who Peter Parker is. And yet it seems like in the sacred timeline, He Who Remains split these X-Men, Avengers, and Fantastic Four up. And in certain ways, they've all forgotten who these other characters are. Right? I keep coming back to this thing that Alex said where he says the reason Doctor Strange vaguely remembered the Fantastic Four as a band from the 60s is because part of him remembers the old Prime universe where they were astronauts in the 60s that went up and got cosmic powers. Right? And so, yeah, I just kind of keep thinking that that's what it is. And today, you know, you got the Jackie Chan news, and that's fucking awesome. You got the Punisher news, it's fucking awesome. But I think in the back of all of our minds, there's just always going to remain this question of, like, what exactly is this film and what exactly is it setting up? Mystery about the villain, mystery about Doom, mystery about Doomsday. It seems like that old Production Weekly thing, it knew about the Punisher. Remember, there were articles in 2021 talking about how Marvel wanted to do Punisher and Spider-Man team up. But when it happened, it shocked us, right? Like, do you guys remember this? Do you guys remember being shocked that the Punisher was going to be in this thing? yeah, Adam found this. So let's take a peek at this because you guys need to see this, and then we'll end this segment here, okay? But this is worth looking at again, okay? So, zoomed in a little too much there. Okay, so it says here, following the events of Doomsday, which did change, obviously, Peter Parker is determined to live a normal life and focus on college, stepping back from his responsibilities as Spider-Man. However, peace is short-lived when a deadly new threat emerges, endangering his friends and forcing Peter to reconsider his promise. With the stakes higher than ever, Peter reluctantly returns to his Spider-Man identity and finds himself teaming up with an unlikely ally to protect those he loves. Andrew Garfield, Michael Keaton, Robert Downey Jr. mentioned to join the cast. Now, look, obviously a lot of that has changed because this movie was going to be after Doomsday, and it has changed, okay? But do you think they changed the entire fucking movie when that happened, or did they just change elements of the movie, right? Because it seemed like even when it was going to take place after Doomsday, it seemed like it was just going to be a regular-ass New York City story with, like, a weird twist and some weird stuff hanging over it. Pretty interesting. Reluctantly returning to the Spider-Man identity to find himself teaming up with an unlikely ally to protect those he loves. Man, that's definitely Punisher. Like, that's definitely Punisher, and I think it was always going to be Punisher. Regardless of what they did to this thing, it was going to be Punisher. Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. Man, not a lot of people are talking about this, but there's still some buzz out there about Andrew potentially being in this movie. Michael Keaton is all but confirmed to be in the movie, but we're not 100% sure. But there's a big prison scene thing. I think that's probably where you'll get Vulture. And Robert Downey Jr. mentioned to join the cast, and he's Doctor Doom. It says right here in the Production Weekly thing. So again, like, I think, not to say that that's 100%. That's not like the smoking gun, right? But damn, bro, like I just think there's a lot there that points to a plan that they have had, and I still think Kang and Doom are potentially as part of this movie. So there you go.